Here we go.
Hey, Jake.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, and I feel lucky because I saw the film and laughed a lot about. And yeah, I'm
You're
sorry.
one of the few. You're one of the few then, if no one else got to see it last night.
Yeah, but we will see it. Like I can promise you that. And in a way, it's like it's. You can say a better spot even because it's again Saturday night where everybody's going out and want to have some
I'm very
fun.
excited. Very exciting.
Great. So now instead of just like talking about the film in retrospect, let's try to talk about it like and promote it like for the future. Like the future is in like what 4 days, so it's not it's the near future. So I'll just present the film from what I saw. Like it's basically a hilarious mockumentary about. I can say that it's a mockumentary, right? Like no.
Sure.
Nobody will think that Walton Goggins is like a pitchman for Ford. From the 70s, right? It's like it's happening.
Yeah, it kind of covers the 60s, 70s, 80s,
60s, 70s. Yeah, Walton Goggins is already like famous enough, like a recognizable face. So like we won't really mistake him for John Bronco. So yeah, tell us the story. It's like it's kind of a wild story to come up with, and definitely present it as reality, as something that happened in real life.
Yeah, we definitely had a lot of fun with it. Yeah, the idea for the mockumentary is it's trying to delve into what happened to one of the most famous television pitchmen in America, who kind of disappeared before the internet, so no one knows. Not a lot of people today don't know about him. Is kind of the idea, and so it delves back into the story of this guy John Bronco, who was like, in all the Ford commercials in the 60s and 70s and 80s. And he kind of became bigger than the commercials and became a celebrity. And Walton Goggins really digs into that role and has a lot of fun. And so it's a little bit of the rise and fall with a lot of comedy and a lot of cool classic cars in there of this guy. And then what happened to him and where did he go? So it's a little mystery. A little searching for Sugarman version.
Yeah, you can say so. But who knows? Maybe searching for Sugarman was also a mockumentary in the end. Who knows?
Yeah,
it's possible. So what made you? Why did you decide to make it like mockumentary style and not like just feature dramatic comedic story?
Well, it's interesting. I've done 2 other mockumentaries for HBO as HBO specials in the sports world. One called 7 Days in Hell and one called Tour de Pharmacy. And because we were on HBO for those, we never planned on them being more than like an hour-long special. But we ended up editing them down to like 45 minutes each. And that was kind of like, let's like take out all the fat, like, they're comedies as well. And let's make it a mockumentary, but let's, kind of go joke, hit, and try to like make the ride a little wilder and I refer to those as a series of right-hand turns. In those, and because we were on cable for that, it was like we didn't really have a specific minute length that we had to hit, and we actually really liked being able to go a little shorter than we thought, but a little longer than a half hour. So it feels like a little more than a short, but not quite a whole feature. And so it was a little bit the same with this. So because I had made those, some friends approached me with this idea about how about this character. And so kind of from the start, we had just planned with like, let's try to get in and get out as fast as we can and not overstay our welcome and have a lot of fun. Because I think that on a small budget and with a small amount of time, we only shoot these things for like 4 days, so you're really just grabbing what you can. And I think a good real documentary feels very dense, you know what I mean? If you're looking back over 40 years and pulling footage, you have to feel like there was a lot there. So kind of keeping it at a shorter length, I think really helps it feel closer to a real documentary, you know what I mean? In the sense of how dense you would make it and what you would pull from and how much of it you would use.
Okay. We have a bunch of like impressive cast, you can say, a bunch of like real familiar faces from the past and from now. Yeah, how did you, it's only like a 37 minute long film. It's, how do you bring all those guys to this kind of a project?
Well, we had a script, and so that was really helpful in kind of like speaking for it. I think it was kind of like if you respond to the script or not, you know what I mean? You were in, and for anyone that's in it as just kind of a talking head giving narration, that's not like a huge ask. That's like, please come by for 2 or 3 hours one day, and we'll shoot you out. So a lot of Tim Meadows and the Micro Machine guy, very cool. Just said, sure, they're up for it. Let's come down. And Walt was a big fan of the cars, and he really likes digging into a character. You know what I mean? So the idea that we were creating kind of a mythical character to try to unwrap, I think really appealed to him. So yeah, we were very lucky. We got a lot of our first choices and everyone to kind of be a part of it, and just kind of, it was a very scrappy production, but we had the right people.
Well, you think that the scrappy production actually gave another value to the film, like, a new look that is, kind of different, or maybe so, real?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the thing. It always bums me out when I see a mockumentary or like a TV show that's supposed to be a documentary or something, but it's very clearly a little overly produced and would never be a real documentary. I came up in the comedy world, but I also came up working for documentary filmmakers back in the day, and working in their offices. So I always kind of like to stick to how a real doc would be shot, are kind of my rules to try to do that. And, if you're pulling from old news footage, it's got to feel like there was just a guy out there with one camera, you know what I mean, in the 70s and not the best sound, getting news footage, and follow that rule all throughout, as opposed to like a big 3-camera setup for a scene where it never would have had that much footage.
Okay, so we have a question from the audience. So the production was like a collaboration with the Ford Foundation, right?
Yes, yeah. Ford gave us permission to kind of go into their archives and stuff and helped us do that. And I think they were excited that we made something that mentioned their name a lot.
So you pitched it to them, like you came with a script that was, to begin with, like, was about the Ford car and, all that, or how, or it like.
Well, yeah, it actually started at Imagine Entertainment, which is Ron Howard and Brian Grazer's company. It started with Marc Gilbar, who's one of our producers over there. He actually pitched the idea to Ford because he kind of knew, if we're ever going to do something like this, we're going to need Ford's okay to do it. And so he pitched it to Ford. And once Ford was like, yeah, we'd be open to this, then he came and talked to me. This is before there was a script, but it was kind of the seedling of an idea. So then we all worked together and worked with a writer and got together and said, okay, here's the idea. What can we write? And then we went back to Ford and said, okay, now here's actually what we're going to do. If you can try to help us get some cars.
And they need to sign off, or how does it go? Like,
Yeah, creatively not so much. I think the big thing, just because we are a mockumentary, was, just if we were telling any major lies about the history of their company, I think was really the only thing that we had to worry about. But no, it was creatively a very open, free process, which was great. They were very cool about it. I mean, it's a crazy little short. Not as crazy as some of my other work, but it's pretty cool of them to say yes to it, I think.
Yeah, they should enjoy it, and they should actually use it in a way, I guess. It's almost I wouldn't say a commercial, but it definitely doesn't do any wrong stuff or bad stuff for the brand name. Do you ever? Well, probably nobody saw the film, as you said. Like, not too many people saw the film already, but like, in general, with like documentaries that you see, do you feel that there's any confusion that people are thinking, oh, that might be a real story, or?
Oh yeah, ideally, yeah. I think the best, at least with this or some of the other ones I've done, like the best thing that could happen is someone for the first 5 minutes thinks it's real if they were just flipping across it on TV. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, what is this? And then as it gets crazier and crazier, realize, oh wait, this can't be real. But we've actually had a lot of. I mean, we haven't shown it many places, right? Because with the COVID shutdown, this will be the first big public screening. We were going to premiere at Tribeca, and that got shut down and delayed and all that. But there have been some small screenings that we did here in LA, and Ford was really happy with it, so they did one for their dealers. And there were literally people who were like, I remember that guy. Yeah, I remember him from the old ads. Or, for the first 20 minutes, I was like, gosh, do I remember that? What was it? They're like, I didn't realize it was fake till halfway through. So that's always kind of like personally what I'm going for. You know what I mean? As far as like feeling like a real doc, because that's just part of the buy-in that you want people to believe the world before you start playing with its boundaries a little bit.
Do you think that interviewing real people like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bo Derek, and the voice, the voice of Dennis Quaid and all that, it kind of create a feeling that it's actually authentic?
Yes. Yeah. That's like the way we treat it is like, okay, maybe we're making a story about a fake persona, but we're pretending that it really happened. So if it really happened, who would know about him and who would he be interacting with over those 30 years? Like, who are the real people? And then we try to get them to be in the piece. So that's like why Kareem, is a perfect example of that, to talk to him as he was like at the height of his sports stardom, the interactions he had with our fake character back in the day.
Yeah, and it's like testimonials, right? Like, about like a fake person.
Yeah, I love it. And getting people to treat it seriously, you know what I mean? Yeah,
so you did a bunch of comedies and stuff that were like fictional, totally fictional. How do you compare both kind of works, like mockumentary and fictional work? Anything similar? Anything that that is totally different?
Well, I think there's a lot of similarities in the way I work in specifically in comedy. You know what I mean? In comedy, it's trying to have a good script going in, and then depending on who we cast, letting the actors play around with it and leaving some room for improv or interpretation or to try new things. So I do that in both forms of work, and specifically, with the mockumentary as a format, that really lends itself to it because you obviously have a lot more flexibility in how you put the scenes together or using B-roll, or it's really, mockumentary is a little different, but kind of great because kind of like in a real documentary, how you really make it in the edit room, you can kind of do the same thing with a mockumentary as a comedy where if you ever realize you're in trouble with a plot thing, that would be a much bigger problem, I'd say, like on a studio movie, because a reshoot would be very expensive. You're trying to cut around it. A mockumentary is very easy to have a talking head or a voiceover come in over some B-roll, and you go, oh great, now we can cut that scene we want to cut, and we can just go from here to here. It's a little easier to try to move stuff around and play with the arcs or fix something that you missed or something like that, which is fun. It's kind of like it's good and it's bad. It lets you be a little more creative because you can do anything, but also you can do anything. So sometimes you just have to stop and refocus on making that straight line again.
Okay. What is the distribution plan for a film like that?
Again, with the whole shutdown kind of like threw us through a loop. So I think we are still figuring out exactly what it's going to be. But the plan is, ideally it's going to be, it's going to show around in some places like this and on some drive-ins and get people talking about it. And then ideally it's going to be on a streamer in the next couple of months.
Okay, cool. So now it's your opportunity to be the John Bronco of John Bronco, the film, and just pitch it to the audience here.
Wait, to do what? Sorry.
To pitch the film to the audience, to tell all of us like why we should go to the drive-in on Saturday.
Well, it's a big screen story. I'll say that. So see it on the big screen. It's just I'll say this: it's a lot of fun. We have an incredible cast, ton of great people in it. You will laugh, and it's not too long, so you won't get bored. So it's perfect. That's exactly what I want out of it.
Great, yeah. All the good things, yeah. I can be the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar of John Bronco and say this film is amazing. And it made me laugh so much. And honestly, I was also kind of confused in the beginning because is this real? Like I know the guy, but is it like, was this guy alive ever? Or and maybe
I think until you see Tim Meadows, people might believe it's real. And then when you see Tim Meadows, you go, oh, okay, wait a minute. This is what
Okay, yeah. But yeah, it's a great film and you really love it. It's a perfect film for Saturday night. And I'm sure that we'll have a great turnout then.
I'm so excited you guys are showing it on the big screen. I wish I could be there.
Yeah, we'll send you some photos, that's for sure.
Oh, that'd be great.
Okay, cool. There's another question from the audience. So before... Okay, so Jesse is asking about the casting process. Can you...
Yeah, casting, I mean, some of it was like very standard, like send the script out to people we like, and to our agents and have them read it and get a response. You know what I mean? So some of it was kind of very typical. Like I hadn't worked with Walton Goggins before, and we were very excited that he was into it. And other people were like, do we know anyone? Like our producer had a connection to Kareem in a roundabout way. So we were able to kind of still reach out, through the normal channels, but with a little, hey, you might remember me from this. And I had worked with Tim before, once a long time ago. He's just the best. So he was down for it. So, I mean, it really is, you just it's everything. It's cold calling. Like we don't have these relationships, but you're hoping that the work speaks for itself. And if anyone had seen, I was lucky enough to have the past 2 mockumentaries I had made as examples of like kind of what we're going for. So that's really helpful with a script like this. And so I know some people were fans of those. So that's why they said yes, which is great. And otherwise you're just, you're making the calls and asking real nicely and telling people you'll work with their schedule and when can they give us a day. And if people respond to something, they're down for it. You know what I mean? Usually, if people respond to the work, they want to try to make it happen too, which is great.
Right, and they need a lot of self-humor, right? Like
yes.
they're laughing, so they're willing to kind of also talk about themselves in an awkward, fake way, like their fake history. And
I think that's sometimes their favorite part is they get to make up a little fake history about themselves too.
Okay, so we have also a question from your partner, Marc Gilbar. What's the best hamburger in Milwaukee? He probably...
What's the best hamburger in Milwaukee? I'm going to go with Kopp's. If you're in Milwaukee, you got to get that Kopp's burger, man. K-O-P-B-S, man. It's so good. Get some frozen custard and a Kopp's cheeseburger and some fries. The best.
Okay, so we got it. Jakes, thanks so much for joining us, and thanks so much for the film. And
thank you for screening it. I'm so excited.
Of course, we'll be in touch after the screening, and we'll let you know everything about it, how it went. Right. Give you amazing photos. Hopefully you could have, if you could have been here, that would be great. But we'll try to make the the experience as not fake for you, not a mockumentary, but a documentary.
All right, great. Well, I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much.
All right, have a good one. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the film.
Bye-bye.